Thank you very much. Good morning, bom dia. Eu falo pouquinho português, so allow me please to speak also in English. I have to say my wife is Brazilian, so I do learn hard to speak Portuguese the next time, hopefully. It's a great pleasure for me to be here and to share with you some insights and information about the Swiss vocational education and training system. So Monica is coming from the chamber side. I'm rather from the education side. So I do work at the Swiss Federal Institute for VET, which is the national experts organization in Switzerland for all questions related to vocational education and training. So you see here the agenda. I will give you an overview about the dual VET system in Switzerland, particularly with a focus on the public-private partnership and the involvement of the companies. But before, also, I would like to give you the context in Switzerland. As said, it's not possible to copy-paste a system, but it's rather to give you maybe some inspiration or a philosophy where some elements could be applied. Yeah, so Switzerland is as much as big as Austria in terms of population, so a little bit more than 8 million. What is quite special that in Switzerland we have actually 4 national languages and 3 different cultural regions. So in this small country. You will see it here in the red part, about 2/3 of the people, they are German speaking or Swiss German speaking. In the green part, it's the French-speaking part, so about 20% of the people speaking French. And you have the blue, the Italian-speaking part, which about 6-7% of the people. And it's also related to the vocational education and training. It's also a bit a cultural difference, because in the Swiss-German part, all the VET is dual, you can say. So company and school based. And in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, so there's a different culture, and it's a bit more orientated to the VET school. So it's a bit more school-based. Yeah, about 8 million inhabitants. You know, Switzerland is known for the cheese, for the chocolate, but there are also some mountains. There are about 48 summits higher than 4,000 meters. We have also many coasts in Switzerland. But more important, we also have a strong economy. And quite similar to Austria also, we have big companies, very well-known companies, so like Nestle, like Bobst, Schindler, and others. But also the small and medium enterprises are very important for the economy. So it's a bit the backbone of the Swiss economy. The Swiss medium enterprises are lower than 250 employees. They do about 60% of the economic performance and have 80% of all the employees in Switzerland. So when it comes to the economic performance, yeah, Switzerland has the chance to be top ranked in these rankings in terms of competitiveness from the World Economic Forum, just the new one from 2017, also an innovation capacity. And currently the low, unemployment rate in Switzerland is quite low, with a bit more than 3%. The overall unemployment rate. Youth unemployment rate is, I think, about 6-7%, something like that. And yeah, our Ministry for Education and Economic Affairs always emphasizes that this strong economic performance is also due, not only, but also due to the education system, and particularly to the system of vocational education and training, so to the dual system. Now in Switzerland, more than 2/3 of the young people, they choose the path of vocational education and training based on a strong public-private partnership. I come back to this later on. And within this system, there's also a role, an important role of my institute, or the Swiss Federal Institute for VET, which is the Swiss experts organization for all questions related to vocational education and training, and which is part of the Federal Department of Economic Affairs, Education and Research. And you see here in Switzerland, this is also quite special that actually the Ministry of Education and Economic Affairs, it's integrated in one ministry. So we have four areas of focus. The basic training is the training of pedagogical training of teachers at the in the VT schools, but also pedagogical training of instructors in the companies. We work closely together with the professional associations and the companies in Switzerland. So we develop together with them the competence profiles for their occupations. We have a huge research department, and last but not least, also continuing training. For example, SWIVET is mandated from the Swiss Confederation to train the examiners for all the country and for all the professions, so the assessors for the apprenticeship programs. Okay, so let's come to the key elements of the dual VT system. So change a bit from Austria, it was from left to the right, now it's from the bottom to the top, but it's the same. Same. So compulsory school, it's 11 years in Switzerland, included 2 years preschool. So the young people, boys and girls, they finish with 15, 16 years. And then they have the choice, mainly between the two options. So one option is the general education, the high school, baccalaureate school. In Switzerland, it's a bit more than 20% choosing this path, general education. And then they have direct access to the university. Then the other path, Switzerland is the most important. So more than 2/3 of the young people, they choose the path of apprenticeship. And most of these programs are according to the dual model. So you see here 65% of the programs are in a company and in a VT school. These programs normally last 3 to 4 years, and then at the end, the young boys and girls, they have a federal diploma in VET, which is recognized then in the whole of Switzerland. After that, they can work in a company. So normally they have quite good job prospects, so they can work directly. Otherwise, they can directly, or after a certain professional experience, they continue on a tertiary level. So on a college of higher education, or to do a federal examination, which is, we call it professional education and training. It is on a tertiary level. And a bit more complicated, after an apprenticeship or during an apprenticeship, you can also do a vocational baccalaureate, which is a focus on more general education, which gives you then direct access to the University of Applied Sciences. Yeah, you see here on a tertiary level, you can say the vocational or professional education and training and the academic education is more or less on the same level. So I think that there are even companies, they prefer now graduates from the professional education and training path than from a university, because they are more practical oriented. Okay, so you see here the some percentages. Overall, more than 50% in Switzerland actually have a tertiary degree. And the aim is in Switzerland, the objective is that on an upper secondary level, at least 25% have a degree. So either high school or an apprenticeship. And this is just to show you, in this model you have seen before, a very important point is the permeability of the system.
Wonderful.
So there is no dead end in the system. And that's also one reason because this VAT system is so attractive for the young people. Mm-hmm. And this is just an example of the current promotion campaign from the Ministry of Education to emphasize this permeability, so that you can train on an upper secondary level as a hairdresser and become then on a tertiary level a biologist. Some facts and figures. There are, it doesn't mean very much to you, 240,000 apprentices. In Switzerland, it's a huge number because it's more than 2/3 of the young people doing this. But this is only on upper secondary level. The young people, they can choose among 230 professions. And the most popular, they are commercial employee, retail clerk, or healthcare worker, for example. So you see there also that it's not only about blue-collar workers, but also white-collar. So it's not only about technical professions. We have 310 vocational schools, which are all public schools. And about 1/3 of all the companies in Switzerland, they offer apprenticeship positions. So it's not mandatory for the companies to train, but about 1/3 they are willing to do so. How does it work? So as I said, the federal VAT diploma is about 3 to 4 years, according to the profession. Then of course we have the theory, but normally it's not modules, it's not block, it's really integrated. So 1 to 2 days per week, the apprentice go to a school, and then we have the practical side, 3 to 4 days per week, they work and are trained in a company, in a host company. And this is a bit of specificity of Switzerland also. We have a third learning location. So we talk about the dual system, but we have 3 learning locations. We have these branch courses in addition to the company training, which are run by the professional associations. And the aim is that the young people, they don't only have the competencies or the scope of one company. As I said, sometimes the companies are quite small. So in these branch courses, they get the competencies and the know-how from the whole branch. So if you're an auto mechanics apprentice, so you work in a garage for Mercedes, so you can only repair Mercedes. And in these branch courses, you will have a brighter scope of the competencies, so we will work also on other brands like BMW, etc., for example. To start an apprenticeship, the young people, they have to have a contract with the company. So it's you can say it's a normal application process. They have to find a company, they have to apply, they have an interview. Sometimes also it's asked that they get some practical a training, so 3 or 4 days in the company, and afterwards they get a contract. They get a salary which is about 15 to 20% in average from a salary of a worker with a degree with 5 years experience, more or less. And they are rapidly integrated in the production service process. Yeah, so that's just to show you that really the apprenticeship system in Switzerland is really a market. It's not, you see here, there's a supply from the companies, they offer apprenticeship positions, then there is a demand from the youth. And in the last years, the market was quite well balanced. There have been some periods where, yeah, it was more difficult. Now it's quite balanced. There is a bit of lag in this in information technology professions. Yeah, where the companies they search for young people to get to do apprenticeship, for example. But the confederation, so the state, is not intervening normally. It's really a free market. So let's talk a bit about the public-private partnership. So this is the legal basis. So this collaboration, public-private partnership, is written in the law. It's actually the first article in the law on vocational and professional education and training. So there is written that this responsibility shall be shared by the federal state, by the cantons, by the states. So we have 26 in Switzerland, and the professional organizations. So the companies, they are not obliged to train, but if they train young people, they have to collaborate with these stakeholders. And you see here the confederation is responsible for the strategic management, the development of the system, also for the approval of the ordinances, of the competence profiles. Then we have the states, so the cantons in Switzerland. They run the vocational schools, and they also run some cantonal offices to give career guidance, to support the young people to find companies, and also to support them during the apprenticeship. And then, actually, the most important stakeholder, the private sector, represented Switzerland by the companies and by the professional associations. So the professional associations, they really have the lead in defining the curricula, in defining the competencies which they need. That's why at the end, actually, the young people, after having finished their apprenticeship, they have the competencies required by the labor market. And the companies, of course, they offer these apprenticeship places. Yeah, this costs a lot of money. This system, you see here, about 40% on the left side, this is borne by the public side. So it's only 10% on a federal level, 30% by the states, by the cantons. Mostly running the vocational schools, paying the salaries to the teachers and the infrastructure. And then you see here mostly, so 60% of all the costs are in the private sector, the companies. So the wages of the apprentices, also infrastructure, the salary of the instructors, etc., etc. So then, of course, you can ask why the companies, they do train when they want, yeah, they have to cover most of the costs in the system. And you see here, also was the case in Austria, that apprenticeships are profitable for most of the companies. There was a study which was made that shows here that there is a return on investment of about 8% in average of all the professions. So the companies, they also earn money with the apprenticeship. This is quite different from profession to profession. So you see here from it's a bit small, but I explain you, for 3 or 4 years apprenticeship training program, electrician, painter, carpenter. So the companies, they have really a return on investment. It's about 50,000 Swiss francs for the whole duration. Then you have other professions where is a higher infrastructure required. So electronics engineer, mechanical engineer. The companies, they lose money when they offer apprenticeship places. But they offer, nevertheless, they offer apprenticeship positions. Because money is an important reason, but it's not the only reason. So the second reason is that, of course, the companies, they can ensure also to have then the qualified employees with the required competencies after an apprenticeship. And as I said, the companies, the professional associations, they have the lead to develop the curricula. And from a legal point of view, the professions, every 5 years, they have to revise each profession. This is the minimum. They can do it also after 2 years or 3 years in a fast-changing profession, fast-changing environment, but legally they have to do it after 5 years at least. And then there are also 2 other reasons. So, yeah, in Switzerland it's also a question of reputation. The host company, especially for small companies, they can put a sticker on the entrance door. I'm a training company. And especially, you know, when you have these micro companies, a baker or a butcher in the village, they are quite proud also to show that I do train the young people. And of course, it's also a long tradition in Switzerland. So the system has grown after during decades and decades, and this mentality has been transmitted from generation to generation. Yeah, so to summarize, the system of vocational education and training in Switzerland should be or is a win-win-win situation. So for the individual, for the companies, but then also for the society as a whole. I've mentioned, I think, most of the points. I don't want to go in detail here. And I think also these are a bit the key features of a successful VET system. So the public-private partnership, the labor market orientation, that really the companies, they have the lead to define training content, the cost efficiency, and also the permeability, that it's not a dead end to do VET, it's not a second-class education, it's the start for a good, can be an excellent professional career. Then, my opinion is also important to have one institute or national institute who is dealing with this question, doing research also, and with tradition or with promotion to achieve then also a good reputation and acceptance of VET in the society. Okay, these are just some information if you would like to have more information. So we published a book about this vocational and professional education and training, also with some examples of international transfers. Then there is a training program that SWIVET offers in June next year with focus on dual VET. This will be conducted in June, right after the International VET Congress in Winterthur, which take place in the 6th and 8th June next year. And I would like to finish with this quote. It's in Portuguese, so let the Leo, which reflects quite well the philosophy of the dual VET system. So thank you very much for your attention.